Hello everyone, my name is Yuting. Welcome to my vlog presentation for the written literacy assignment on adaptation and appropriation. In this vlog, I will be comparing Agatha Christie's detective novel Murder on the Orient Express, published in 1934, with its 2017 film adaptation directed by Kenneth Branagh. The novel is a classical example of detective fiction. It is slow-paced and claustrophobic, and it relies heavily on dialogue and subtle clues to build suspense. In contrast, the 2017 film transforms this static story into a visually dynamic spectacle. My main argument is that the adaptation modernizes the original text through transposition and creation, but this also leads to a mixed reception, especially regarding faithfulness to the novel. Before analyzing my examples, I will briefly introduce two principles. The first one is fidelity, which is central to Linda Hutchins' theory of adaptation. Hutchins challenges the idea that a good film adaptation must strictly follow the original book. She calls this the prejudice of priority, where the novel is seen as superior and the film as a secondary one. Instead, she argues that a film should function as an independent work of art. In Murder on the Orient Express, the film is faithful to the plot but not to the novel's quiet tone. By making Poirot more action-oriented, the adaptation prioritizes modern cinematic expectations over the literary spirit of the original text. The second principle I will use is intertextuality, which comes from Julie Sanders' theory of adaptation and appropriation. Sanders argues that adaptations don't exist in isolation. Instead, they are shaped by other text genres and cultural expectations. This means that a film adaptation is influenced not only by its original source text, but also by the dominant media styles of its time. When we apply this idea to Murder on the Orient Express in 2017 film, it becomes clear that Kenneth Branagh is not adapting the novel alone. The film borrows heavily from modern action and disaster films. Scenes such as the avalanche and the railway bridge sequence are not found in Christie's original book, but reflect contemporary cinematic conventions. This shows that the film is an intertextual product shaped by modern genre expectations as well as the original literary text. This film adaptation transforms a static, locked room mystery into a dynamic thriller. In terms of transposition, it converts the novel's dialogue-based tension into physical action by moving scenes from the confined train to exterior location. Through creation, the filmmakers add new, action-driven scenes, such as a chase and a physical confrontation, which redefine the detective Hercule Poirot. As a more action-oriented character for cinematic appeal, the reception to these changes was divided. While many contemporary viewers and critics embraced the added action as a necessary update for the screen, longtime fans of the novel felt these additions undermined the detective's fundamental intellectual identity, betraying the spirit of the original character. The film adaptation structures its narrative exposition to introduce Poirot and explain the mystery. In terms of creation, filmmakers invent an original prologue in Jerusalem, absent from the book. This new scene established Poirot as a superhero-like detective through a dramatic display of intelligence, quickly communicating his character through action rather than quiet narration. Transposition is evident in how the crime solution is presented. The novel's legacy verbal monologue is transformed into visual flashbacks, turning abstract reasoning into concrete visual evidence for the audience. The reception to these changes was mixed. While many general audiences welcomed the engaging and accessible plot, literary critics and devoted readers argued the scenes were overly theoretical and simplified the intellectual complexity of the original narrative. This example focuses on the film's adaptation of Hercule Poirot's characterization regarding transposition. The film translates the novel's description of Poirot's mustache into an exaggerated visual symbol, amplifying his vanity into a dominant, double-layered image. Through creation, filmmakers invent a tragic backstory involving a deceased lover and war injury, absent from the book. This transforms Poirot from the detached intellectual into an emotionally vulnerable figure, aligning with modern expectations of psychological depth. The reception was polarized. While the distinctive mustache attracted new audiences, devoted readers criticized the invented backstory as unnecessary emotional cliches that undermined the character's original definition based on logic and restraint. To conclude, in my personal opinion, I would classify the adaptation as only moderately successful. While visually stunning, it lacks a fundamental respect for the spirit of the original source text. By prioritizing creation and action, the filmmakers diluted the intellectual essence of Agatha Christie's work. However, this discrepancy illustrates how adapting text improves reading literacy. The process transforms us from passive consumers into active literary critics. When we analyze why a movie scene feels wrong compared to the book, we engage in high-level critical thinking. It forces us to return to the page to appreciate the unique power of the written word to convey complex interiority that the screen often struggles to replicate. And that's all. Thank you for listening.